hung thick in the cul-de-sac as the vendor trucks idled by my gate. The HOA guard waved them through the priority lane like it was a private show. One driver leaned out grinning orders from the boardman. I glanced down at the bent boundary pin, the one I'd marked last spring, now crooked under their new fence line. The hum of the compressor drowned out my pulse. Someone's hammer hit steel, and that's when I saw it, the setback they'd leased out behind my house. That's when I decided to show up at the meeting. The guard lifted a palm. A vendor truck rolled through the gate like it owned the morning. "I'm on Lot 12, I said. "That lane crosses my backyard easement." "Priority access," he muttered, checking a clipboard. "Board directive." The diesel throb rattled the split-rail fence and my diner cup on the dash. "Then log this," I said. "CCR Bershard 1207 forbids leasing recorded access." "Take it up with the chair," he said. "I will. But you still have to log today's encroachment." He waved the second truck forward. The arm beeped like an insult. A chalk circle ringed a bent boundary pin in the crabgrass. On the clubhouse glass, a notice read, "Activation Shops Project Phase 1. "Ma'am," I said, as the compliance chair arrived, white sneakers and authority. "Your vendors are using a recorded setback as a hall road." "Board authority," she said. "Vendor access is permitted." "Not across a deeded easement," I said. "Meets and bounds put the line there." "File it," she said. "I'll file it," I said, raising a page. "And I'll cite 4112-07 in the minutes." "We write the minutes," she said. "Rules cut both ways," I said. "Then write this, 08, 14 trucks use the west setback as roadway." "Why press this?" she asked. "The kiosks help assessments." "They don't help my title," I said. An elder neighbor shuffled up. The second truck squeezed by. "Careful," I told the driver. He stared ahead. "You good?" I asked the neighbor. "I'm fine," she whispered. "Some folks forget rules when there's money." The chair's smile thinned. A mic clicked on the gate radio. "Phase 1, proceed to pad mark." I read the notice again. "Where's the seal?" I asked. "What seal?" she said. "County." "Embossed," I said. "If you're leasing access, show the seal. We're activating dead space," she said. "Community approved." "Show me the vote," I said. "Sir, you're blocking the apron," the guard said. "Write the pass number," I said, handing him the stub, "and record this line, P1207. He scratched the clipboard and avoided my eyes. Heat shimmered off the third truck's hood. "Nobody's taking your yard," the chair said. "It's still yours. We're maximizing frontage. You moved the frontage when you crossed that pin," I said. "That's where the survey put it," she said. "Which survey?" I asked. "Show the plat overlay." "Sir, we're done here," she said. "We're not," I said. I held up the covenant page. The header glared access and setback, Ashar 1207. "Put that away," she said. "No posting documents at the gate." "I'm not posting," I said. "I'm reading." Her radio chirped again. "Padmark is green. Soft opening next week." The neighbor pointed at the chalk ring. "Is that supposed to be crooked?" "It's not crooked," the chair said quickly. "It's adjusted to what I asked." "The revenue forecast?" "Step back," the guard said. "I'm on my side of the line," I said. The second truck nosed past the pin. The cane skidded again. "Easy," I told the driver. "See," I said to the chair, "your traffic nearly knocked her over." "That's an exaggeration," she said. "We're within policy." "Policy isn't title," I said. The notice curled in the AC draft and slapped the glass. No seal, no initials. "Who approved the lease?" I asked. "Names for the record." "Board," she said. "Unanimous." "Read the motion," I said. "I'll wait." She exhaled. "Minutes capture facts," I said. "Let them capture this." "Facts," she said, "go through the board." The guard stamped my visitor slip. "Received." "Log my objection," I said. "Time, date, and 41207. He tore the stub and handed it to me. "The trucks have priority." "Not over a recorded line," I said. "Are you going to fight them?" the neighbor asked. "I'm going to follow the paper," I said. "Paper," she said. "Deed plat, covenants," I said. Paper outlives noise. Good, she said. The chair checked her watch. We have a schedule. File your concern. I will, I said. County and minutes. Construction continues, she said. For now, I said. The fourth truck crawled past the chalk. The boundary pin leaned like a tired nail. I let the silence settle. Diesel rattled the fence. My cup rattled with it. She waited for me to move. I didn't. That pin isn't where you think it is, I said. The clerk slid a Mylar sheet under the glass divider. The plat overlay smelled faintly of toner and dust. Douglas County recording, I asked. She nodded. Latest composite. Markups in red are prior corrections. The projector hummed in the ceiling, throwing a pale grid on the counter. See the setback, she said, tapping the acetate with a capped pen. A red line cut through where my fence line should have breathed. That's my backyard, I said, and that's not a suggestion. She checked her screen. Parcel 12B, you're the deed holder of record. My phone buzzed. HOA, past, due, notice. I opened it. Late FE will apply if assessment not received by Friday. I swallowed heat. They're threatening late fees while they run trucks across a recorded easement. The clerk lifted an eyebrow. I can't speak to board policy. I can show you the record. Then print the covenants page, I said. CCR 1207 access and setback. Keys rattled somewhere in the back. Stacks of binders glowed under fluorescent tubes. She typed. The printer coughed. The smell of warm paper bled into the cold room. The contractor PM stepped up behind me in orange vest under a denim jacket. You here for the kiosk permits? He asked the glass. I'm here for the original line, I said. He exhaled. Pins might have moved during utility marks. It happens. Pins don't wander, I said. Hands move them. The clerk slid a stapled packet through the slot. Covenants excerpt. Plat overlay. Copy pending. Who filed the lease? I asked. She checked the terminal. No lease recorded against this setback. Only board minutes referencing activation. So nothing at county with an embossed seal. Not for encumbering your access, she said. My phone buzzed again. The HOA president called. I answered on speaker, the glass between us catching the ring. Mr. Mason, can we resolve your payment status today? You can resolve your trucks, I said. You're crossing my recorded easement. Our council believes our policy allows temporary activation, he said. Policy isn't title, I said. Lines aren't opinions. He hesitated. Then file your concern. I'm standing at county, I said. Consider it filed. The clerk returned with a heavier sheet embossed seals winking under the projector spill. Here's your overlay, she said. Scaled 1 inch equals 20 feet. I leaned in. The red setback sliced through the drawing and intersected my fence posts with surgical precision. Zoom to the west marker, I said. She clicked. The cursor centered over a tiny cross and a number. That's your boundary pin location per the oldest accepted survey, she said. The contractor cleared his throat. Look, we didn't mean to crowd your lawn. You meant to shorten a path, I said. It's a staging lane, he said. Temporary. Temporary on paper, I asked. Show me the variance. He glanced at the clerk's glass, then away. I work with what the board gives me. Print the first filing date I told the clerk. 1998. Setback recorded same year. Corrections in 2004 and 2011, she said. Any note authorizing lease of recorded access? She shook her head. No such instrument. The projector fan whirred steady as a metronome. Can I get certified copies? I asked. Yes, she said. Overlay, deed page, and covenants excerpt. They'll carry received and the seal. Do it, I said. The phone still sat on speaker. President, you hearing this? I asked. We're confident the board acted within its authority, he said. What authority changes a recorded line without variance? You're making this adversarial, he said. Your trucks made it adversarial, I said. I'm just reading. The clerk lined up the first sheet on a black pad. Place your card here. I slid it in. The terminal chirped. A heavy stamp rose in her hand. "Ready?" she asked. "Stamp it," I said. Thunk. The sound traveled down the counter and settled in my chest. For a second, nothing moved. Even the projector seemed to hold its breath. She stamped the second sheet, then the third. "Certified," she said, "time and date on each." I felt my jaw unclench. "Thank you." The contractor checked his watch. "I have crews waiting to pour." "Pour off my line," I said. He lowered his voice. "We can slide the slab 4 feet and—" "No," I said. "We slide the truth back to where it started." The president cut in. "We'll review your documents at the next meeting." "No," I said. "You'll read them into the record." "Sir, I'll bring them," I said. "We'll let the minutes hold weight for once." The clerk slipped a receipt under the glass. "Keep this with the copies." The paper felt warm. The embossed seal scratched my thumb. "What time is the board session?" I asked the phone. "Wednesday at 6, he said. "I'll be there," I said, "and the overlay will be there first." The contractor shifted. If pins did move, it was incidental. Words wander. "Pins don't," I said. He tried a smile that didn't know where to land. The clerk nodded at the overlay. "Anything else?" "One more page," I said. "The covenant's header with access and setback, HOA 1207. Big." She printed. I slid it onto the stack. "You'll still owe the late fee," the president said, brittle now. "You'll still owe the line," I said. "Debt before dues." "That's not how this works," he said. "It is when title works," I said. The clerk raised the stamp a final time, then pressed it onto my receipt. Received. I gathered the packet, squared the edges, and breathed through my teeth. Hope slipped in the thin kind that needs paper to stand. At the door, I looked back at the red line slicing the blueprint. If they moved a pin, I said mostly to myself, they moved their case. He unrolled the vellum on my tool bench corners, curling like old leaves. The fluorescent hum filled the workshop, steady as rain on metal. "Coffee?" I asked, nudging the thermos toward him. "After we find your line," he said. His pencil hovered a pause long enough to hear the clock tick. "Name's Hal," he added. "Retired surveyor. Still allergic to bad math." "What are we looking at?" "Layer cake," Hal said. "Deed plat and the covenants you waved at the gate." He set a clear grid over the vellum. Paper thud on plywood. "Meets and bounds," he said, tapping the deed page I'd copied at county. "Call 1 south 80 feet to the iron pin. Call 2 west 120 to the hedge. These don't drift because someone wants a kiosk." "Pins don't wander," I said. "Right?" Hal said. "But people do." He drew a neat X 18 inches west of the bright paint stake outside. "Your true pin sits here." 18 inches sounds small, I said. 18 inches is everything he said. Easement, edge, setback, fence, alignment. 1.5 feet is the difference between legal and wishful. He traced a thin line from the X to the fence on my yard sketch. "There's your recorded setback. And there's their hall lane," I said. He nodded once. The neighbor from 2 houses over leaned in the door. "You boys drawing treasure maps?" "Just the one," Hal said. "It pays in quiet nights." She smiled. "You get them to move those trucks." "Not by asking," I said. "By proving." Hal held up the covenants page, the header, Stark, Access and Setback, HOA 1207. "Read it," he said. I did each clause careful as if it could bruise. "Board may not lease or obstruct a recorded access." I finished. "Plain as fence boards," Hal said. "Now show me their time." Time. "You texted me about a camera," he said. "Neighborhood gate cam. You said there was a nightly cycle." "Right," I said. "Recordings rotate at 3, so if someone nudged a pin, they did it while traffic was thin." He scribbled 0315 in the margin. The lead halted. Silent beat. I brought up the app on my phone. The screen showed time blocks under a grainy view of the gate. Scroll, Hal said. Day before they posted that notice. I slid back. The low-res stream ran like a memory through fog. 2 figures' vests catching light. One crouched near the fence corner. The other held a flashlight. "Stop," Hal said. "Zoom." "It's jelly," I said. Zoom, anyway. We watched the crouched figure rock a stake with both hands. The flashlight bobbed. A truck idled off-frame, the exhaust flicker strobing the crabgrass. Hold, Hal said. Note the angle. He aligned a protractor on the vellum pencil, clicking the plastic. They don't extract. They lean. Less noise on camera, more drift on position. My jaw tightened. How sure? Sure enough, I'd testify to movement, not removal, Hal said. And I'd testify that movement changed a recorded edge. He drew a thin triangle overlay between the X and the painted stake. That's your delta. 18 inches, I said. Across 120 feet, he replied. Multiply the error by length, and you get a lane where none belongs. The neighbor placed a hand on the bench. So they cheated. Hal shook his head. They adjusted themselves into a corner. I breathed out. Policy bows to paper. Save that for the mic, he said. We build a chain first. He stacked the documents in order deed, plat, CCR. Then he added a sticky at the top, CAM 0315. Chain runs this way, Hal said. Title to picture. If counsel tries to yank one link, we show the whole. Can I ask something, I said? Shoot, Hal said. Why help? He smiled, soft and brief. I retired to fish. Then I watched committees talk louder than maps. The fluorescent light flickered once. I rechecked the app. Playback only saves a week, I said. We're at day 6. Then you're on a clock, Hal said. Pull the clip. Pull 3 before, during, after. And pull the guard's radio log if you can. I can request it, I said. Request won't beat a scrub window, Hal said. Call the clerk. Get a received time on your packet today. He slid a blank cover sheet toward me. Write a summary. 1 page. 5 lines. I wrote, Line 1, identity and parcels, Hal said. 2 encumbrances. 3 event. 4 impact. 5 relief requested. He read it, red-penciled 2 commas, then tapped the bottom margin. Add this exhibits A through E, he said. A deed page, B plat overlay, C Aeroto 1207 excerpt, D cam still, E supplemental affidavit if you can swing one. Who signs the affidavit? I asked. Neighbor, witness. Hal said, eyes flicking to the door. She nodded. I'll sign what I saw. I printed a still from the video, the blur of a hand at the stake. Not perfect, I said. Perfect is for novels, Hal said. Court likes honest, time-stamped, and dull. He slid the still into a page protector. The plastic whispered. Next, we mark your yard, he said. You have survey nails. I have chalk, I said. Then chalk, the ex, Hal said. Do it while you still own mourning. He took the pencil again, hovering so close to the vellum I could hear the graphite think. What happens at the meeting, I asked. You read the chain, he said. You keep your verbs small. You never say they lied. You say this conflicts. You ask for minutes to reflect facts, not feelings. And if they stonewall, he looked up steady. You file a temporary traffic restraining order. You keep the hall out of your line fast. I checked the time. If I file today, you're on an agenda by tomorrow, Hal said. You bring exhibits and a spare copy for counsel. You keep the clip on 2 drives. 2 thumbs fail. When rooms get loud, he said. I set the packet square. You ever regret not letting things slide? Sliding is for mud, he said. Proof travels better than power. He capped the pencil and tapped the 0315 note. Say it, he told me. Say what the thing you'll end on, he said. The line that holds. I met his eyes. The clock ticked again, softer now. 3:15 tells the truth. The frame froze mid-glow. 0315 pulsed at the corner like a heartbeat, pale green against the grain. 2 silhouettes bent near my fence, the smaller one bracing the stake, the other giving it a subtle twist. The painted head leaned just enough to rewrite a boundary. I scrubbed back 10 seconds. Pause, play, nudge, stop. Each click felt like proof tightening. The laser printer started its slow whine beside me. I poured more coffee, heavy and burnt. An exhibit to gate. Cam still 0315. The screen blinked. Toner, low. My phone buzzed. Hal. Mentor. You up? He asked. Watching them move my pin. Freeze the lien, he said. We'll label it movement. Let counsel fight the verbs. I zoomed in. Lien confirmed. 0315 exact. Hal's voice carried the calm of long nights at drafting tables. Print the chain. Deed Plat 41207 still. Call it Exhibits A through D. I stacked them on the desk. The embossed seal on the plat caught a stripe of lamplight. Agendas in my inbox. Variance Item 3. He grunted. That's how they hide a lease rename it clarification. The night clerk answered on the second ring. Her voice sounded wrapped in caffeine and fluorescent hum. County recording monitored line. I'm submitting a temporary traffic restraining order, I said. Relief requested immediate restriction of contractor traffic over recorded setback pending variance hearing. Name I gave it. Electronic packets open at 0300, she said. I'll send at 0300. Hal cleared his throat through the speaker. Read me your summary. I did. Homeowner of record seeks TTRO based on alteration of boundary stake documented 0315. Relief. Halt activity until variance review. Cut adjectives, he said. Plain words beat emotional ones. Copy, I said, trimming unauthorized and letting access stand. The printer coughed. Silent beat while toner cooled. The smell of resin mixed with midnight air. Policy bows to paper, Hal said. Keep that line, I replied. Back to the clip 0317. The contractor straightened, brushed off his knees, walked into the dark. On my monitor, the packet header flashed the same. Time filed 0317 mock timestamp, waiting for the real one. Any neighbor affidavit? Hal asked. Signed at 8, I said. Good. Add it, Exhibit E. I slid a sticky note on top, chain complete. The coffee timer clicked off. I poured another cup anyway. How long you been doing this? I asked. Since before lasers drew maps, Hal said. Back when paper ruled men, not the other way. The agenda email chimed again. Variance Item 3. Setback clarification. They're framing it as misunderstanding, I said. Then give them understanding, Hal said. Read every noun into the record. I attached the exhibits A, Deed Page B, Plat Overlay C, CCR, Theater 12-07, D, Cam still E, Witness Affidavit pending. Subject TTRO. Parcel 12B. Fair 12-07. Access. Recipients recording at douglascounty.gov, CC Board at lakeviewhoa.org, Council at lakeviewhoa.org. The progress bar crawled. Printer light blinked again, a slow red heartbeat. You still breathing? Hal asked. Barely, I said. Then let the printer breathe too, he said. I waited palms flat on plywood. 10 seconds. Steam from the mug drifted between my hands. Ready, the clerk asked when the upload portal opened. Ready. Submitting 3, 2, click. A progress bar filled green to gold. Received 0300. Hal exhaled in my ear. Now, save to 2 drives. I did. Agenda slot confirmed public comment. 3 minutes, I said. Use 1 for nouns, 1 for verbs, 1 to breathe, he said. An auto-reply pinged from the board. Your message has been received. Another followed from Council Cease Public Accusation. HOA will review internally. I typed 1 sentence back. See Exhibits AD. Policy does not change title. Then stopped myself. Let the packet speak. Say your opener, Hal said. I'm the deed holder of Parcel 12B. Section 1207 controls access. At 0315, recorded instruments and camera footage disagree with your lane. Good, he said. Closer, I looked at the overlay at that slanted red line. Policy bows to paper. Keep it, he said softly. The county portal chimed again. TTRO, accepted for review, hearing within 48 hours. I printed the receipt. The paper came out warm, edges crisp with ink. That's your microclimax, Hal said. Feels like breathing room, I said. I gathered the binder, slipped the thumb drives inside. Outside, dawn hovered behind the blinds, a pale line edging the horizon. The heater kicked once, sighing. Get some rest, Hal said. I'll chalk the pin first, I said. Stubborn, he muttered. Recorded, I answered. I shut down the monitors. The overlay glowed a moment longer, then faded. On top of the packet, the receipt's timestamp caught the lamplight. Filed 03-17. I whispered to the empty room. We read this on mic. The clubhouse hall ran hot with bodies and coffee. Folding chairs scraped linoleum. The mic squealed and settled into a nervous hum. On the corkboard, the agenda was pinned with 2 tacks and a wrinkle that refused to lie flat. Variance Item 3. Setback Clarification. A realtor eased by with a grin meant for clients. Soft opening tomorrow, he whispered, if the board stays on schedule. Schedules don't move lines, I said. The president rapped a gavel against a plastic coaster. We'll proceed. Public comment limited to 3 minutes. Keep it civil. I stood, binder under my arm, thumb drives in the pocket. The coffee urn hissed behind the sign-in table. Name and lot, the chair said. Parcel 12B. I said, into the mic. I'm the deed holder. The microphone caught my breath and made it sound bigger than it felt. Statement, the president asked. Exhibits A through D for the record. I said, laying pages on the table. A deed page, B. Plat overlay with embossed seal, CCR, 8/12/07. D. Gate, camera still time-stamped. 03-15. Clerk, the chair, said. The clerk glanced at me then, at the stack. Marked. I handed her a thumb drive. Same files labeled. Play Exhibit D on the projector, please. Counsel leaned forward. Mr. Mason, we prefer to summarize rather than dramatize. It's a summary, I said. 20 seconds. The projector threw a grainy rectangle onto the white wall. My voice sounded small. Watch the stake head. Play. 2 figures bent near the fence. One braced the shaft, the other nudged. The painted head leaned 1 degree, then 2. Someone in the back exhaled. A chair creaked. The realtor's grin evaporated. Stop at 03:15, I said. The frame froze. The timestamp glowed in the corner. Mr. Mason, counsel, began smoothing a sleeve. What we have here could be the parallax of a lens and the night shift jitter of pixels. Temporary activation isn't title, I said. CCR 812-07 controls access and setback. Board may not lease or obstruct a recorded access. That is the language. Policy allows staging for community benefit, counsel said. Policy is not an instrument, I said. Deed, plat, covenants are instruments. Read the deed, a neighbor called, voice thin but pointed. Order, the president said, but softly. I raised Exhibit A. Meaties and bounds place the west line here. I switched to Exhibit B, the plat. The embossed seal backs the coordinate. I tapped Exhibit C. Section 1207 forbids leasing my recorded access. I pointed at the screen. Exhibit D shows a movement at 03:15 that creates a lane where none belongs. Silent beat. The crowd held its breath like the room had a single pair of lungs. Counsel cleared his throat. We're not admitting intentional misconduct, Mr. President, but to prevent disruption, we can schedule a clarification, a temporary variance. A variance must be noticed and voted, I said. And a variance doesn't exist tonight. The president rubbed the bridge of his nose. Counsel does our policy. Policy cannot alter recorded instruments. Counsel said automatically, then froze as the sentence landed. He glanced at the mic, realized he'd said it on record, and tried to soften the landing. What I mean is, if there is a discrepancy, it must be reconciled with the recorded instruments. Say it plain, the neighbor called again. Did they move it? Counsel looked at the still. The leaning head seemed to lean more under fluorescent lights. He lowered his voice, but the mic caught it. There appears to be a misplacement of the stake. Murmurs rose like wind against siding. The realtor sank into his chair. Enter that statement into the minutes, I said. Word for word. The chair scribbled lips tight. We'll capture the essence. No, I said. Capture the sentence. The president tapped the coaster. We can acknowledge the misplacement in principle and pause vendor access pending clarification. Not clarification, I said. Cease vendor traffic across the recorded setback until this board and the county reconcile the line with the recorded instruments. He looked to counsel. Counsel nodded once slow. That would be the cautious course. Clerk, the chair said. The clerk's pen hovered. Motion, the president sighed. Motion to suspend vendor access over the west setback effective immediately until reconciliation. Second, someone from the board said without lifting her eyes. Discussion, the chair asked. A hand shot up in the back. Refunds. Not this item, the chair said too fast. The vote tripped forward in favor, one abstain. The gavel clipped the plastic coaster again. Motion carries. I leaned to the mic. For completeness, please read into the minutes the time and title of each exhibit. Mr. Mason counsel said we control the form. The minutes aren't marketing, I said. They're the record. The clerk read careful and slow, like each word had a weight. Exhibit A, deed page. Exhibit B, plat overlay, embossed seal. Exhibit C, CCR, FIR 12-07. Exhibit D, camera, still 03-15. On the screen, the frame still held the lien. The room seemed to tilt with it. Additionally, I said, acknowledge that counsel stated misplacement on record. Counsel hesitated, then nodded into his mic. For the sake of accuracy, yes, I used the term misplacement. There was a small sound from the back near a phone held high, the soft electronic click a crowd now recognizes. The realtor closed his laptop like it hurt. The chair cleared her throat. We will coordinate with the contractor to adjust staging. Adjust it off my line, I said. No need for tone, she said. No need for trucks on a recorded access, I said. The president found his gavel again, but let it rest. He looked older under the lights. Public comment concluded. We'll recess for 10. He didn't bang the gavel. He didn't need to. People exhaled as if someone had opened a vent. The coffee urn hissed a new batch. Folding chairs sighed as neighbors stood to stretch, whisper text. I closed my binder and slid the thumb drive back to the clerk. Keep both, I said. Drives fail when rooms get loud. You planned for that, she said. I planned for minutes to outlast memory. On the wall, the paused timestamp was still a pulse, 03:15. The projector fan kept its patient spin. A man in a line for coffee glanced at me. You really think this holds its paper, I said. It holds. He nodded at the screen. Good. I brought my father to meetings like this, never saw one turn. He lifted his styrofoam cup in a quiet toast. The president returned to the table with counsel, and the chair voices low, faces flat. Someone lifted the camera again, framing the dais and the frozen still. A dozen thumbs hovered over share. I tightened the strap on my binder and leaned into the mic one last time, voice steady, words small. Paper outlives noise. The parking lot glowed pale under a single floodlight. Dawn wasn't ready yet. The sky still held its breath. The neon sign above the kiosk row buzzed in fits, turning open into pen. A county deputy stepped from his cruiser paper folder in hand. Temporary injunction, parcel 12B case, he said. You, Mason? I nodded. You're early, he smiled. Order says before sunrise. He unfolded the packet, the seal glinting red in the light. The first line read, Cease and desist. All construction and vendor access suspended pending variance reconciliation. Counsel arrived next coat collar, high expression, low. He scanned the page, jaw muscle twitching. Routine enforcement, he said. Routine correction, I said. Behind him, the contractor climbed out of a pickup, a ring of keys clattering in his fist. The sound was too loud for the hour. Hal's advice replayed in my head. Quiet wins louder. The deputy turned the first page to the signature section. We'll post copies on every kiosk and you'll sign receipt. Counsel sighed. We'll comply. Record that I said. The deputy nodded and clicked his body cam. Recording. We walked the row. Metal shutters gleamed dew tracing their seams. The deputy taped the first order with clear strips smoothing each corner flat. 1-1. Posted, he said. The contractor followed, jangling the keys. Didn't mean no harm, sir. We were told the line shifted. The line doesn't move unless the earth does, I said. He glanced at counsel, then back to the paper. Guess the earth didn't. At kiosk 3, the deputy held out the clipboard. Sign acknowledgement. Counsel took the pen. Signed under protest. Protest, noted the deputy said. He drew a line through the witness box, his signature clean and blocky. The last shutter creaked, echoing across the lot. Silent beat. Even the neon paused. Counsel cleared his throat. We'll rekey after inspection. No, I said. Keys first. He hesitated, then gestured to the contractor. The contractor held out the ring. Dozens of tags hung from it, tiny rectangles stamped with unit numbers. The metal smelled like rain and diesel. Here, he said quietly. The deputy unhooked 3 keys. Chain of custody, transfer to homeowner representative until further notice, I said. He handed them to me. Cold wait. 3 small proofs. Counsel stepped closer. You understand this is temporary. So was the lane, I said. He looked away toward the empty road where tire tracks still marked last week's trespass. The deputy logged notes onto his clipboard. Time 05:41. Keys transferred. Order posted. Parties present. Mason, counsel contractor, add. I said compliance verified by witness. He scribbled it in. The contractor crouched by his truck pulling off vendor decals with slow fingers. The sound of the peeling adhesive was the only noise left. Didn't sign up for this kind of job, he said. You signed up for work inside the line, I said. He nodded. Guess I'll start measuring twice. Counsel exhaled, shoulders sagging. I'll brief the board by noon. Make sure they read the minutes I said, not the rumor mill. The deputy tore the carbon copy free and handed it to me. Filed copy goes to county by 9. I folded it into the binder beside the deed. Then we're square. He tipped his hat, stepped back to his cruiser, and keyed the mic. Order served and posted. Static crackled. A voice replied, Copy. Unit clear. The floodlight flickered as the cruiser pulled away. Metal echoed against quiet, the shutters settling the new locks, breathing in the cold. Counsel lingered near kiosk 4. You'll have your victory moment, I'm sure. This isn't victory, I said. It's record compliance. He frowned. You sound like your mentor. Proof travels better than power, I said. He almost smiled. He'd know. He turned toward his car coat, brushing the air. I stayed where I was, watching the order sheet flap once in the breeze. The printed seal caught the neon glow, half pink, half red. The contractor shut his toolbox and waited. You want me to lock 'em together, I said. He clicked the padlocks one by one. Each snap felt final, a line drawn back into shape. The deputy's taillights faded down the street. The neon sign buzzed again, one letter short, but brighter. I walked the length of the kiosks. Paper on metal signatures under tape locks closed. Each one was a small square of quiet where noise used to live. At the end of the row, I stopped by the fence. The chalk X from Hal's vellum sketch still ghosted through the dirt. The true pin back where it belonged. I tucked the keys into my coat pocket and looked toward the road. The day was coming up gray, honest light, inching over the roof lines. The contractor climbed into his truck engine, coughing awake. Guess that's it, he said. For now, I said. He looked out the window. What's next? Next stop, I said, is refunds. The truck rolled off slow tires, whispering across damp asphalt. The neon buzzed once, then settled. I turned the last key in my hand until the metal warmed. For the first time in months, the air didn't taste like argument. The projector hummed like a tired beehive. Rows of names glowed on the clubhouse wall, each paired with a dollar figure and a lot number. The treasurer stood at the table with a stack of envelopes and a stamp pad the color of rust. Coffee hissed from the urn and made the room feel smaller. "Refund ledger," she said into the mic. "Vendor access fees collected during activation shops. We will read each entry and issue corrections." Hal, my mentor, eased into the chair beside me. His jacket smelled faintly of pencil shavings and cold air. "You made your minutes work," he murmured. We made the line. "Hold," I said. The president looked older than last week. "We'll proceed." "Treasurer," she scrolled. Names passed like a slow river: Alvarez, Benton, Cho, each followed by amount collected and amount returned. The glare on the screen made the numbers look cleaner than the last month had felt. "Refunds will be mailed and logged tonight," she said. "Receipts are available." Hal tapped the edge of my binder. "Keys. In the pocket," I said. "Echo prop." "Good," he said. "This chapter needs the sound." The chair cleared her throat. "Before disbursement, counsel will read a statement." Counsel adjusted his mic. "The board acknowledges the misplacement recorded in the minutes and regrets the resulting confusion. Vendor access over the west setback is suspended pending reconciliation. Apologies are entered on behalf of the board." A hush pressed the walls. The apology landed with the soft weight of a checked box, but it landed. A neighbor lifted a hand. "Say the word refunds again." Refunds, the treasurer repeated, line by line. She read Alvarez $58. Returned, the clerk said, sliding an envelope. Benton $89. Returned. The stamp thunked. Seal rose, seal fell. Paper drank the ink. "Justice looks like receipts," someone whispered behind us. Hal angled toward the dais. "Ask for ledger on screen and in minutes," he said. I stood. "Please include the ledger totals and the line item names in the minutes." The president nodded. So entered. The projector scroll slowed. Names I knew from the lake path came and went, their balances flattened back to zero. A couple of heads bowed after hearing their numbers return. One man crossed himself and then blushed as if he'd done it out of habit more than faith. The chair spoke again. "We will also record the vendor remission schedule. Read it into the minutes," I said. "We will," she replied, catching herself before bristling. Hal's pencil clicked once in his pocket. "Your lot." I scanned the list. My name wasn't there. Not yet. The treasurer took a breath. "We have adjustments for lots affected by traffic routing. Parcels 12A, 12C, and 12B. Heads turned. The ledger line highlighted. Mason, $0 collected, $0 owed, $0 due. Compensation, roadway cleanup and slope repair in kind. I stepped to the mic. "For the record, I decline compensation beyond cleanup. The order and keys already closed the account." The president leaned in. "Duly noted. Cleanup will proceed anyway." The mentor lifted his chin toward the screen. "They missed the header." I said, "Please display the ledger header." The treasurer scrolled up. Refund. Ledger activation shops entered into minutes filled the wall in block letters. The font looked like it planned to stay. Totals, the chair asked. The treasurer read, "Total refunds $9,621. Vendor remission credits $3,000 even." The clerk repeated the figures into the recorder. The mic picked up the projector hum like a low tide. A neighbor stood with a folded cane. Some of us got late fee notices while access was blocked. Counsel leaned toward his mic. "Those notices will be rescinded." Read that the neighbor said steady. Notices rescinded, the clerk read words clicking into the minutes. Silent beat. You could hear the coffee urn breathe. The treasurer slid an envelope across the table to a volunteer for distribution. It moved from hand to hand, paper against paper. Hal watched the room as if it were a level he was waiting to settle. The president looked toward me. "Anything further?" Parcel 12B 2 lines. I said, 1. The minutes must retain the phrase, misplacement admitted on record. 2. The board will schedule a formal transfer order with the county. Seconded, the chair said quickly. Counsel nodded once. "We will prepare the transfer order." Hal reached into my binder and lifted the key ring. It chimed softly, metal speaking to metal. He set it on the table, then pressed it into my palm. "Let them hear it," he whispered. I held the ring up. It wasn't ceremony. It was weight. The room adjusted to it. "Access is not a favor," I said to the mic. "It's title." "The minutes will reflect that sentiment," the president said. "Make them reflect the instruments," I replied. The treasurer turned a page. Final group. She read 5 names, then paused. Last entry. The cursor blinked beside my own. It looked almost like a heartbeat. "Mason," she said. "Balance 0. Disposition line restored. Keys recorded." Hal's lips curved not quite a smile, more like a door finally fitting the jamb. The clerk positioned the stamp pad. Hal placed his hand flat on the ledger book to steady it. The pad kissed paper. Thunk. For one breath, 2, 3, nothing moved. 3 seconds of silence held. Then the room let go. Hands came together. Not loud at first, but honest. The applause rose like a clean wind and erased the stale air above the chairs. Even the projector seemed to sound brighter. The president waited for it to fade. "On behalf of the board, apologies are entered into the minutes. Refunds are entered. Notices rescinded. Transfer order to be drafted." He looked at me. "Thank you for bringing exhibits. We should have looked sooner." "You did tonight," I said. "Let the minutes carry that." Hal leaned close voice for my ear alone. "Seal sound." "Not yet," I said. "One more beat." The treasurer closed the ledger and lifted the heavy seal. She pressed it to the page. Stamp, thunk, a deep note that sounded like a door shutting behind a storm. She looked over the book to the clerk. Entered. Hal stood. The room stilled again as if the projector had lowered its voice to listen. He touched the ledger cover with 2 fingers, then let his hand fall. "Justice looks like receipts," someone said louder now. A few chuckled. More nodded. I slid the keys back into my pocket. The ring chimed once. Echo enough. Hal tipped his head toward the mic and spoke just above the hum, the words trimmed to the bone. "Seal trumps spin. Finish it." The gate path looked new again, though no one had touched the soil except to set the plaque. Dawn light rolled across the fresh concrete, tracing a quiet border where the vendor kiosks once stood. The air smelled of wet lime and cut grass, a clean smell that erases argument. Birds called from the maples. A pair of wrens nested above the old gatepost, singing over what used to be a construction lane. The boundary pin, polished and level, caught the sun like a coin returned to its rightful pocket. Neighbors drifted in coffee in hand, jackets zipped against the chill. Their voices were low, the way people talk near something that matters. At the end of the row stood a new plaque mount, brass bolted to stone, still covered with a white cloth. A county clerk pulled up in a gray sedan, parking just shy of the curb. She stepped out holding a folder with the blue seal edges still crisp from the notary press. "Transfer and correction order for parcel 12B, she said. "Filed and ready to read into record." "Morning," I said. "We've been waiting for that one." She smiled. "You earned it." The clerk opened the folder. The page glowed faintly in the angled light. By authority of Douglas County and in accordance with CCR 12-07, she read, "The recorded setback is hereby reaffirmed. Vendor encroachments removed. Access restored." Each phrase fell like a hinge closing. The president of the HOA stood off to one side, his tie-crooked face pale from early light. He didn't interrupt. The clerk turned to me. "Signature for witness." "Right here," I said. She handed over the pen, silver and cold. I signed beneath the seal. She pressed it flat, the stamp, thunk, echoing faintly off the gate. "Filed," she said, and the sound of the word felt heavier than paper. Silent beat. The wind slid through the ivy that had survived all of this. A neighbor approached, carrying the bronze plaque wrapped in the white cloth. He looked younger today, or maybe lighter. "Want to do the honors? Go ahead," I said. "You were the one who took the photos." He pulled the cloth free. The metal shone warm against the concrete. The inscription caught the sunlight. Boundary pin recorded setback. CCR 12-07. Restored, April 2024. Right here, he asked. Right where they tried to rent the ground out from under it, I said. He knelt, lined it square, and drove the first bolt home. The wrench squealed and rang against the morning air. The crowd stepped closer. Phones lifted. Camera shutters clicked in rhythm with the bolts. The clerk raised her own phone. One for the county record. She framed the shot, the plaque, the pin, the people, and tapped once. Uploaded. The president cleared his throat. You could have made this uglier. You could have made it easier, I said. He nodded, faint smile breaking the years off his face. Fair. Hal, my mentor, walked up from the sidewalk with his old leather binder. He didn't say much at first. He just looked at the plaque, then at the open road. Told you to trust the instruments, he said. You did. He crouched beside the pin, brushed the edge with a thumb. Light, sit straight now. That's how you know it's right. The clerk stepped closer. We'll archive this as Correction Order 0317, cross-reference to the original filing. Same minute the camera caught the move, I said. Poetic symmetry, she said. A boy on a bike coasted down the lane, tires hissing through dew. He rode right past the plaque without noticing it, proof enough that the road was open again. The president handed the clerk a second page. Acknowledgement from the board. Refunds finalized. Access restored. Future leases to require supermajority. She tucked it into the folder. Good closure, she said. It's more than closure, Hal said. It's a record that won't fade. The neighbors lined up by the fence. Someone began to clap one pair of hands, then another. The sound grew and rolled down the path. No speeches, just the noise of justice settling where noise used to be. Community applause, Hal murmured. Better than any gavel. Better than trucks, I said. The clerk waited for quiet, then turned to me again. Would you like to add anything for the minutes I looked at the plaque, the pin restored, the sunlight reaching through the ivy like a promise? Write this, I said. Order enforced. Access restored. Community acknowledged. She nodded. Entered. Hal straightened brushed dust from his knees. That's it, he said. Echo logged ledger closed. Legacy, now, I said. He pointed at the plaque. Then say it. Every line needs an end. I faced the group and the president, the clerk, and the neighbors still holding coffee and cameras, and I said it clear enough for the recorder mic to catch. Finally, someone fought back. A pause. Held, then the applause returned, brighter. Freer, rising into the open sky. The clerk smiled, eyes soft behind her glasses. That should stay in the minutes, she said. Hal grinned. Already did. The morning wind lifted the ivy again. It whispered across the metal letters like a voice from the record itself. The pin gleamed steady. A single point of truth holding everything level. Birds wheeled overhead. A truck horn sounded far off, but it stayed on the main road where it belonged. I walked to the plaque and rested a hand against the warm brass. Stay put, I whispered. Behind me, the crowd began to drift home, shoes scraping against the new concrete. The sound was ordinary, the kind that lasts. The morning after sunlight washed over the plaque and the embossed seal still drying on the county folder. The scent of grass and coffee hung in the air where the crowd had stood, their applause now a quiet echo against the gate. The order had been read into record, the line restored, and for once the law felt human again. Boundaries. I learned are not just about land, they are about respect, process, and the courage to hold both steady. Justice isn't loud, it's steady. Share your HOA story below your map might help someone redraw theirs.